There is said to be a bottomless pit in Washington state, on uninhabited land. Several people claim to have found the pit, but none of them are willing to reveal its location, preferring to keep to themselves its supernatural properties. Originally showcased on the radio show Coast to Coast AM, this is the weird case of Mel's Hole. On February 21st, 1997, a man identifying himself as Mel Waters was a featured guest on an overnight radio show hosted by Art Bell. Waters claimed he owned rural property on Manastash Ridge, where he discovered a hole with properties which defied natural law. Previous landowners used the pit as a garbage dump, and so did Mel, until he realized it was not filling up with trash. And anything he threw into it never returned any sound of hitting the bottom. He said the hole measures 9 feet across the top. The interior appears to be lined with stones laid by hand to a depth of 15 feet. Below that, the walls consist of natural rock and earth descending into darkness. The Native Americans of the area stay well away from it. To the First Peoples, it is known as the Devil's Hole. Mel's own dogs refuse to go near it. He never saw any other animals in the vicinity either, and birds flying overhead would change their direction mid-flight to avoid passing over it. Waters attempted to measure the depth of the hole with fishing line, 20-pound test, which he purchased in large spools of 5,000 yards. After attaching to the line a lead weight of 1 pound, he played out 18 spools of line without reaching bottom, equivalent to more than 80,000 feet, or 15 miles. In comparison, the deepest known cavern in the world is less than 2 miles deep, and the deepest mine shaft is less than 3 miles. Mel said when he shouted down into the hole, he could hear no echo, only silence. Mel related the story of a local sportsman whose dog had perished on a hunt after tangling with a cougar. The sportsman gently lowered his deceased canine into the hole. 3 days later, he spotted his dog in a field. The same collar was around its neck, and on the collar was the same silver tag with his dog's name on it. The dog's name was Checkers. But it would not come to him when he called, and it disappeared into the brush. If a portable radio was held close to the entrance of the pit, it would play programs and songs from the past, but not in the manner of your typical oldies station. It would play news reports from decades ago. Mel Waters, in a follow-up interview, said he had headed to the pit to conduct more experiments, when he was surprised to find on his property a number of personnel in biocontainment suits. Upon questioning one of these men, he was told his property was under quarantine because it was the site of a plane crash. Waters had never heard about this crash, and he was compelled to leave the area under threat of arrest. The next day he received a phone call from an agent of the federal government, who offered him $2 million for his property on Manastash Ridge, for which he had paid only $28,000. He accepted the money, which he said would allow him to fulfill a lifelong dream of moving to Australia. Waters claimed to have lived in Australia for 2 years, during which he was repeatedly warned by parties unknown never to return to the United States. This got under his skin, and he decided to come back, if only to see what the government was doing on the property he once used to own. He was riding on a bus on his way to Washington State when the driver was delayed at a traffic stop. Although Mel Waters told no one about his travel plans, policemen boarded, and they removed Waters from the bus. 2 weeks later, he woke up on the streets of San Francisco with no memory of the previous fortnight and no explanation for why he was now missing several teeth.